Beautiful burgers, couldn't be more excited than bringing a dear friend, a partner, one of the community that wants to bring decentralization to SwissBorg, to the Borg token, one that wants to bring back what is really the identity, the DNA of all this Web3 ecosystem. How will BorgPad be the number one launchpad for the SwissBorg ecosystem? And of course, grow to other different ecosystems to bring the best value back to the SwissBorg community, to the Borgers around the world. I couldn't be more excited than having Danny. You probably know him very well. And yeah, let's bring him to the stage.
Hey Cyrus, hey guys, absolute pleasure being here. Thank you so much for inviting me and excited to talk about BorgPad, the future and everything we've got planned.
Couldn't be more excited. Thank you so much, Danny, for making it. And right off the bat, I would say, we saw the birth of Bitcoin and then Ethereum. This was done by launchpads, right, or ICOs. In the second cycle, we saw the rise of the ICOs. And the last cycle, we saw a lot of more VCs driven, I would say, projects that had very high valuations. And finally, some of them did well, but many of them have had a lot of issues attracting users. Maybe why do you think that this fourth cycle, things are a bit changing and we're seeing a renaissance of all these new tokens happening on Solana and a lot of meme coins, but as well other different projects that have stronger fundamentals or has stronger missions. Yeah, why do you believe this fourth cycle is going to be a little bit different from the previous one?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, it's almost like we've done a full circle on the whole primary market. So as you say, in 2017, when SwissBorg was doing their ICO, ultimately you can say that the ICOs were fairer and better than what we've been having the last cycle. Because it gave the community the chance to get in early. And sure, you had an incredibly high amount of rugs, but the projects that were serious allowed the community to get in early at the fairest terms possible. So you had a fair and honest launch where you could win together if you believed in something early. Then, because of the a huge amount of scams and dishonest, malicious projects, then it got regulated to death, essentially, the whole ICO mechanism. So, whilst I don't think that ICOs will come back, what you're saying is very true in the sense that we're seeing a renaissance, at least philosophically, of what ICOs were. And that's kind of what we want to capitalize now on as well with SwissBorg and BorgPad and reimagining how we launch early projects without having to go through the whole sex cartel and what's been going on so far. So I think people are realizing mentally that you can't build Web3. Ultimately, the core of what it does, it brings people together. It allows for the first time to break down barriers from people all across the world to communicate, to invest and to participate in projects together on a level playing field. And that really makes sense in terms of investment as well. So that's kind of what's happening right now is we're seeing how through better mechanisms that avoid all of these scams, we bring communities early back in as soon as possible in these projects. And if they believe early enough that they're allowed to invest at those early stages with and win with the projects as well. And now SwissBorg, I think we have a really good way of doing this and we expanding and exploring how to do it end to end on the whole primary market. And BorgPad is the last missing piece right before TGE to list and distribute those tokens.
Awesome. Maybe you could explain a bit what BorgPad and how it works, and maybe, of course, its mission. It would be nice to see and understand, yeah, more into details what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
So BorgPad, you must see it as a complementary product to Alpha that happens after Alpha. So one of the core issues of projects when they're raising and when they're building their products is that, well, on one side, then obviously they need money for their treasury to pay everybody to develop product, etc. And that's what Alpha does really well. But then at one point, once you're ready and you ideally found product market fit and you've done a good enough distribution, you have a community, you want to launch. Today, you have two options. Either you launch the traditional way with the big exchanges and you pay them millions and millions with the market makers and the VCs that all get a cut of it, or you try and do it in a fairer and open way through decentralized exchanges. And until now, that you had some platforms that helped you do it, but really there was a gap in the market and how you would be able to launch on these exchanges in a way that allows you to bring with you your community. And this is what BorgPad does. BorgPad is a liquidity bootstrapping protocol. To list on a decentralized exchange like Jupiter, you need to have a liquidity pool, which typically is two assets, and that will allow you to trade one for the other and then be integrated to on different secondary markets. BorgPad achieves exactly that. It allows projects to build up the initial liquidity pool to be able to be listed not only on DEXs but also on SwissBorg through our smart engine. And we do that by using their token plus Borg. And it's very simple actually. We determine a project we want to list on Swissborg that ideally has done an alpha with us before. We tell them, okay, we need to have a liquidity pool of 300,000, let's say 500,000. They will bring typically 250,000 of their own token, and we're going to raise the other 250,000 in Borg from our community and their community, meaning that you can then put your Borg to work. You will earn liquidity rewards, liquidity provision rewards from that, and ultimately we allow to launch a project and you're actively part of the whole process, which indirectly is also an investment, but a passive income opportunity on the rewards you're going to receive. So it's a lot going on. Ultimately, it's a way to allow your projects that you believe in to launch, to be listed, to be distributed, and to be an active part of that process.
Perfect. Yeah, I love the alignment and the fact that, of course, the Borg token as well is part of that. I love the fact that, of course, in a deeper value, we're trying to bring the best projects and they're able to really give the best, I would say, prices, the best opportunities of investment directly to their community members, and which become users. So that's the most beautiful thing here is that virtuous cycle of giving the opportunity, rewarding your investors that becomes your users, and start to grow a community in a fair, transparent way using what blockchain is best for, right? That's
Exactly.
definitely great.
If you kind of believe that investment it's more than a transaction, it's actually a tool for manifesting, as we always say at Swissbook, in the sense that where capital flows, energy flows, so to speak, because ultimately finance that's what it is. It's the ability to create a future, with money being the common denominators we all share, and we all exchange our time and energy for money. So whether you put your money is where you put indirectly your time and energy. And Web3 allows us to have an infrastructure where everybody can participate in that. And ultimately, you want to avoid what we have today in finance, where often investing is very mechanical and you have people who invest in projects that we don't believe in, they're just invested for an ROI, such as, I don't know, imagine you think McDonald's will have a good run for the next 5 years and you invest in it, but really, do you want to see McDonald's grow and provide our kids the meals of the future? Probably not. So the way you avoid that is by allowing the people that really believe in the project for the right reasons to invest, also in the right way. And Web3 allows us to have that infrastructure to democratize the whole access to this kind of investments. And I think that's really, really beautiful and powerful. That's what we're trying to harness here.
100%. Always investing for price, product, people. What do you say after is promotions and eventually the how you use the personal token. But if you align your brain and your heart and your hands, it's the best way to get the best squeeze out of it. Talking about investment opportunities, and I would say this new cycle, there's multiple different narratives that we see. Um, what are the ones you think on an operation based like fundamentals? What would be the projects that you would look for right now? What do you think is the missing piece? One of the missing piece to really start bringing more value to these wallets, to be start rewarding people in terms of their actions and maybe more than that. How do you? What's the thing you're excited about?
Really, if you think of Web3, you must understand what it does really well. Web3 at the core is a decentralized, well, it's web blockchain technology, which is nothing else than a distributed ledger. So there's a bunch of things you can do fundamentally with a distributed ledger. One is authentication, as it's immutable and it's open for everybody to see and transparent. So that's kind of one angle that I really like, is the idea of building digital identities using Web3, which seems such a natural fit. If tomorrow we live in an increasingly digital world, you want to, especially if you look at it on the angle from AI, where AI almost becomes the infinite creator, where anything and everything can be generated. And because AI works on probabilistic models, meaning that an LLM, the way it works, the basic function is it predicts the next word based on how probable it is that it is the right word based on the data it's been trained on. Meaning that probabilistically speaking, these AI models create anything, but it's not tethered to truth. It's maybe probably tethered to truth, but actually there's no foundational underlying source of truth. So tomorrow we'll be inundated with data and content generated by AI, and it'll be very difficult as these models progress to separate truth from fiction. So if you take the authentication function from blockchains, building on that identity and authentication layer is super, super important. Galactica tries to do that. We've done an alpha with them in the past, which has worked really well. But obviously, there's different solutions. I think Web3 is a pluralistic future. There's not just one solution to rule them all. At least you don't want to recreate monopolies all over. And so I think identities are very, very interesting in a layer for Web3 stack that can be deployed beyond Web3 and will bring actually adoption beyond speculation. That's kind of what we was trying to find. What gets me excited, what kind of products will get people into Web3, which is not just about speculating, which is all Web3 really is at the core today. Identity certainly is one of those key layers.
Yeah, 100%. And for that, I think it's really good that essentially we'll be starting with Solana ID. Can you maybe a few words talk about Solana ID? Why do you believe it's a great project? And yeah.
Depends on when this comes out, but next Tuesday, the 28th, we have a first BorgPad alpha deal. So an alpha deal that will become a BorgPad deal once they're ready for TG, and that's Solana ID. And as the name suggests very clearly, Solana ID is an identity dApp and layer on Solana. What's really cool is that you can use your online and offline credentials, such as who you are, what you've done in the past, link it all onto one unified profile on Solana ID platform. And what they've understood really well about this is how to immediately make use of it. So their key function is to disrupt the ad-based model of the internet today, where people spend millions and millions and millions to Google, Meta, to advertise to you. But Web3 through the identity layer can actually improve that process significantly. And more importantly, you can get rewarded for it directly. What happens today in Web2 is that Facebook, Google, they take your data, they farm your data, so to speak, and then resell it to advertisers, which pay them. And the take rate of Google and Facebook is close to 100%. Now with Web3, you can completely disrupt that and be like, okay, people want to advertise to me. I have certain value based on who I am, based on my wallet history, based on how much money I have on SwissBorg, what my actions were on SwissBorg, what I have on Twitter, all these different aspects of me, of my digital identity that can correlate some degree of importance to me if I have a lot of followers on Twitter, if I am a Swiss resident based on the KYC of SwissBorg. And so Solana ID allows to combine both of those things, where you can give your data, you take control over it, and you guard your privacy with ZK technology. But then the advertisers can use that to advertise to you directly via blockchain tech, because you no longer need the middleman. So Solana ID is just a UI and interface where you can combine and aggregate that data. And because Solana is already populated with many users and many companies, that network effect is already in place. So Solana ID, the cooler thing about them, what really sold it for us, is that they already have 10 of the biggest dApps on Solana as customers, including Jupiter, Orca, Flash, Drift, you name them. And they will then use that data that the users provide with their Phantom wallet and with all the credentials to advertise to them directly, meaning that you already get a monetization for the data you supply, which completely changes the game. And almost we see it on the long-term perspective as a solution for cases where we talk about UBI and all these big problems that we might face in the future. We say, well, in Web3, you probably don't need government to give you an UBI. One of the most valuable things is human data. And with SwissBorg, you can prove your humanity because you KYC'd. And therefore, you can directly monetize that data and use that as a source of income, even if AI were to replace many of the jobs or create a big dysfunction in labor. So it's really, really cool. We agreed with them on really cool terms. We get them at the 15 million fully diluted valuation, which is exactly what we said in line at the beginning, where we come back to fair launches at fair prices, none of these crazy 8, 9 figure valuations. It's 50 million, which is incredibly low. I think it's the lowest alpha valuation we've had since the Xborg pre-seed deal, the very first one that we did. And on top of that, if you do the quest or if you have a higher Borger rank, if you have more than 200k Borgs in your account, you get a 20% cashback airdrop on your investment. So there's a lot of things to incentivize you. It's a really cool deal. The team is amazing. The mechanism is cool. And it's just two projects that see the same thing for the future and align philosophically as much as on how to deliver that. So Solana ID, yeah, next Tuesday, and we're really, really excited about it.
Indeed, very excited about Solana ID. We have a video about that. There's two more themes that I think are very exciting. Is definitely the one of AI and the one of social fi, right? Those are big ones. AI, there's no need to repeat why it's big. One of the strong use cases right now is ChatGPT. What if you were able to start to, you know, have sub different chat assistants based on whatever activity you want, whatever type of service that you want. If that, even if that AI agent could start to be your friend, then get to be your coach and play chess with you, all of that. Tell us a bit quickly about MoMates and how it's a different play. How again it has that Web 2 foundation, strong foundation with AI, and bringing now Web 3 with a token. Yeah, very excited about this one too.
Yeah, so MoMed is also one of the, it's actually the biggest deal that we have in this upcoming batch for Alpha and BorgPad. And, as we said at the beginning, investing is more than a transaction. It's where you think the future will go and the future you want to see. Our base conviction is that AI will change everything, and society will be deeply affected by it. So the best thing we can do is invest in a kind of AI that we believe is the right kind. And what I mean with the right kind is an AI that is open source end to end, the models, the training data, and the governance. Only if we achieve that, then we have a chance to have an AI that serves humanity, to elevate us in our humanity and understands maybe the questions we don't need to understand about ourselves, rather than having a system that's subject to errors of abuses of power and is being built behind closed doors, which really could lead to rather disastrous systems. MoMade is a really, really cool project in that sense because they came from a Web 2 background and understood the importance of decentralizing their stack and making it open to everybody. And they've come now full circle and are building actively only with Web 3 ethos and values behind. What MoMade is what we think is the next evolution of AI. Today, you can ask ChatGPT to, I don't know, if you're planning a trip to Paris, to give you hotel recommendations and an itinerary of what you should do each day, and that's really cool. But the next step is what we think are AI agents, and the difference between AI chat companions like ChatGPT today and AI agents is precisely agency, and that agency translates to being able to undertake actions. Tomorrow, these AI agents not only can recommend you your itinerary to Paris, but can actually also book it for you straight away. They will be integrated with other systems, and they will be able to go on Booking.com or on whatever it is and book the best hotel based on what you said. They can interact with other AIs, and all of a sudden you start creating a very valuable AI-driven economy and system where you still are the main input, but all of the rest, the outputs, are being driven and executed by AI. Now, Momit is one of the coolest projects that acts on that. Today, all of their AI agents are mostly for entertainment purposes because it's the first product market fit that they saw. So chatbots that represent celebrities and that kind of thing. And they're actually the fastest growing chatbot and companion platform today out there. Overpassing competitors like MyShell in many, many of metrics such as total users and time spent by user on the platform, etc. And again, we got them at a really fair valuation. Ahad, who is the founder and CEO, really understands the value of bringing communities in early, of building in Web3 with Web3 values. And yeah, Momed, we're really excited about. It's going to be the grand finale of our batch that's going to come on the 6th of September. And yeah, it's at a 45 million valuation. So also again, super attractive and backed by Balaji, backed by really cool investors. And yeah.
Yeah, I think about the great of this one is not only the team, it's not only the products, the vision. I like the fact that how he has combined all his past experience into building this better venture. I think that's really cool. Like how this open source community of AR, VR now combines with this AI thing, which is, you're you have other people that'll be building this platform, right? And that's very often difficult things. Like I said, SwissBorg, we're a marketplace, but a lot of work's coming from us, and we hope the community would be able to build more. I think this is where they're letting those. That's very cool. And the fact that, well, AI is a big thing. Then the fact that you have this AI super cool bot that could really live with you within your world of AI VR. So that's, I think so, is definitely one of that. The last one, I think so, goes very much with the ethos of SwissBorg, is the whole social fi and how you combine, the TikTok of tomorrow with this type of SwissBorg way of buying things. Yeah, tell me a bit more about Val, and how's it happening now.
Absolutely. Just before I go into Vala, just one thing that I want to mention to everybody is like whenever we these three deals, we try and do a bit more than just a transaction to allow people to really understand what they're investing in. So with Solana ID, you can already now go on Solana ID and connect your SwissBorg account, see the perks that you get from that, the airdrops that you're going to be able to get, and see how it all works. With Moment as well, what we're actually building, and it's going to be live in the coming days, is a meme generator that works based on Web3 values and all the data we've given it. So you'll be able to go into this meme generator on Momed, tell it, I want to create a meme based on this, what's happening on crypto Twitter or anything like this, and it will output an actual meme with text, with everything, which is super cool. And again, you'll be able to interact directly and see exactly what the product is. And so the last one, as you mentioned, is Vala. And Vala is, well, it's TikTok. If SwissBorg and TikTok were to have a baby, it would be Vala. The whole idea is that tomorrow, again, in an AI era where there's going to be infinite content, you're going to enter more and more into what we call the attention economy, where it's all about how much attention can you grab from humans. TikTok is very good at this and is winning the whole Gen Z game. The issue with TikTok is that it does the exact same thing than Facebook and all the others, where it farms all of your data, plus the added spice of having some questionable ties back with China, and God knows what happens there, right? So what we see with social media tomorrow, what needs to happen is first that it's open source again, and that you can own your data. But moreover as well, like if you look at a financial realm, which at the end of the day, we look at this from a financial investment opportunity, also the ability to, if the Gen Z already gets the financial information from TikTok, get it from a good platform and get it with a platform that allows you to take action directly and for the right reasons and in the right way. So that's what Vala does. Vala is a TikTok where you'll see your influencers and preferred KOLs talk about projects, and you'll be able to trade directly from Vala based on these tokens. You'll be able to create tokens on Vala, list them. They have their own decks behind, and then sell them with a flick to buy motion, I think they call it, and swipe to sell. And it's a very interactive new way for getting the next generation of adults and young adults, teenagers, as they grow into adulthood, to, if they're going to do investments and if they're going to use social media, to do it in a helpful way that, one, keeps them their assets and they have, again, control and ownership over them, and allows them directly to do everything, the whole investment apps side of things as well, directly in that app. So Vala combines those two things, social media plus an investment platform, in a really cool UX. The team is amazing behind. You have ex-executives from Coinbase, from TikTok itself, from Binance, Bank of America, a really, really A-star team. I love them. And again, we got them an amazing valuation. This is also 50 million FDV. You have similar vesting terms as the other two. And yeah, just a really, really cool opportunity, which I think is going to be a game changer potentially for the upcoming attention economy and the next generation, as they hopefully start to grow and see the limitations of TikTok, and that it's not just all good and there's better alternatives out there.
Thank you so much, Danny, for making this. There's these definitely three projects are really, really cool. Want to get back? You should come back for the next batch. Give us an update, and there's so much more to do. Thank you so much, Danielle, and see you in Singapore.
I will definitely come back with the results of the first ones, and as we keep exploring the next batch, and again, our vision for AI and how to bring good companies forward, we'll be back.
Perfect. Take care, guys. So, beautiful Borgers, this was the wrap with BorgPad. As you guys understood, BorgPad is the community-owned launchpad of SwissBorg, where you're able to really get into the best deals at the earliest stages. For this first batch, which was very important, the first series of investments, that was is to really look at what are the biggest trends right now in terms of how do we get from now to mass adoption. And for that, this beautiful team led by Daniel and many others have thought about first Solana ID, so how to get the identity on chain and how to get rewarded eventually. And Solana ID is a great team with a lot of ambition there. The second one was more about essentially the AI and how AI agents could get more and more to help you to do whatever you want. And I think so with Momate, which is really interesting as a Web 2, has already a great amount of success, has brought more over 2 million users to their platform. And now is how can you get this incentive and this reward mechanism and this alignment around their token. We're very, very excited about Momate. And the third one is, as you understood, it's Vala. And how does Vala start to bring social fi trading into crypto, right? How you bring the TikTok and the SwissBorg app in together and how you make it fun, fair, and community centric. So I hope you guys enjoyed this special episode with BorgPad, and we'll have probably very soon more for the next batch.